Hello everyone and welcome back to another review presented today by TBR Media. My name is Jared, of course. Today we are going to be reviewing George Miller's latest in the Mad Max saga, and that is, of course, Furiosa. Perhaps the most pivotal character in Fury Road, portrayed by Charlize Theron, of course, but here we have Anya Taylor-Joy, Tom Burke, Chris Hemsworth, and the return of so many fascinating characters that I feel like we didn't get enough time with. And honestly, it was an exciting return to the franchise and the property. And right off the bat, I'll tell you that George Miller has not lost his touch. The man is almost in his 80s, and he has not lost a beat as far as movie magic. Furiosa, much like Mad Max Fury Road was, is so kinetic in the energy and the intensity of the performances and the set pieces. The visual effects are great, the practical effects are gorgeous and work every time. So Furiosa kind of dips into her backstory on how she went from being at the Green Place as a child with the many mothers to Immortan Joe's crew at the Citadel, and what that process and that transition looked like from her youth into her adulthood, and just how war-torn and hardened she became over the years. So it should be said right off the bat, the performances are incredible, especially from Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy. I think those two are magnificent, and they have so much energy and synergy on screen when they're doing scenes together. Even if it's just them two, I feel like there is an abundance of weight to the story being told, and that's partially, George Miller's scripting, but it's also partially in the performances themselves. And Chris Hemsworth as Dementis is tyrannical. Like, you think Immortan Joe's bad, his boys, his biker gang are hardened, and they are crazy. They are absolutely insane, and it is so fun watching Furiosa kind of grow up interacting with that kind of crowd and really shaping her into the woman she becomes that we see in Fury Road. This is a movie that I was initially worried about because I felt like we didn't really need to dip back into this universe at this stage with this character, but ultimately it ended up working. Sorry, someone tried to open our door. Fun times in Denver. Anyway, Furiosa is magnificent. I don't even remember what I was saying, you guys. That's right, Dementis. Dementis is a character that we needed to really see to understand why Furiosa is the way that she is. And the villains here, even, Immortan Joe and Dementis too, both have an aura of levity to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they feel like people who tried to make the best of a really bad situation and swung too far over on the other side. And that is what I love about those characters and the way Chris Hemsworth brings that levity. But he's also frighteningly intense and kind of charismatic too, which you understand, why he has his motorcycle chariot and why all these people are following him. It makes for a really intriguing antagonist that we can look forward to Furiosa defeating. If I had a couple of complaints about the movie, overall I feel like maybe it was just a little bit too long. It's an over 2-hour film, and there were several moments that I thought would have been great points of entry to wrap the story up and to kind of put everything in this nice little bow, but instead they opted to continue the story and continue, along Furiosa's journey. And eventually when we got to the end, I was kind of left feeling a little bit underwhelmed. It almost felt in the third act, specifically in the last 10 minutes, the whole plot and narrative kind of just felt rushed to get to the end. Obviously, the credits are really nice, kind of retracing some of the things that we saw in Mad Max Fury Road, and I really got a kick out of staying for the credits during that. George Miller is amazing, the cast is great, but let me quickly shout out a few people that are really notable in the cast and crew to make this thing as great as it is. One is Simon Dugan's cinematography. I absolutely found it to be just as engrossing as Mad Max Fury Road, and the other two are Elliot Natman and Margaret Sixel, and they are the editing team on this film. This is a property that could very easily turn into this kind of cheesy, corny action movie. They keep the spirit of Mel Gibson's Mad Max in here thoroughly, and I'm really impressed by it, but they also find a way to make it fresh and reinvigorating, and a lot of that comes down to the choices that were made in the cuts. Alila Brown, who plays young Furiosa, is also just such a force to be reckoned with on screen. You really understand that character's internal conflicts. Through her performance, it's mostly mute, just like kind of Furiosa is in Fury Road to a certain extent. She's even more so mute here. Anya Taylor-Joy only has a handful of lines, but delivers them with such great impact. But the young child actor here actually did a wonderful job and carries most of the first act. I couldn't help but commend that performance for how great it was. So, should you go out and see Furiosa? I believe the answer is yes. I think you're going to have a great time at the theater. Take your friends, take your partner, go out and see this movie, and really take it in. You know, there's IMAX screenings, there's Dolby Atmos screenings. Dolby Cinema at AMC is a great, method of watching films like this because they're so kinetic and the sound design is so intentful, and it really does make for a really unique viewing experience. So I recommend that you do that. If you've seen Furiosa, let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts on the film were. If you disagree with me, if you agree, let me know. Like the video and make sure to subscribe so you never miss more content in the future. We will see you in the next review.